right, so it's shortly after 6:30, actually it's 6:41. So we're going to call the meeting to order, and it's Thursday, October 17th, 2019. And I know that there's still people filtering in and signing their name in to the welcome sheet. Just mind to see that after you do so. So this is a formal public meeting for a special council meeting of Adelaide Metcalfe. So I've asked our councillors if you have any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. Seeing none. So the special policy, or the public meeting for today is in regards to special policy areas of the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe. And before we have the motion from council to open the public meeting, I do have to just go over a few housekeeping rules for everyone this evening. The first ones are quite simple. The washrooms, if anybody needs them, just go through the door at the back with the clock above the door, and there's a few washrooms in the meeting room out there, as well as the exits. There's one right there, one back there, and if you want to make your way through the meeting room, as well as over there. I think I got them all. Mr. Fire Chief, wherever you are, I'm not sure where Chief Nordoff is. So some of the main items that we need to talk about is the Code of Conduct for public meetings, and I just want to read this aloud so everyone has that for them, and when you do stand up here, it's also taped on this podium as well. So the Code of Conduct for public meetings for Adelaide Metcalfe, number 1, is persons in the audience will refrain from behaviors which are disruptive for the public meeting. This will include making loud noises, clapping, shouting, booing, hissing, or engaging in other activities in a manner that disturbs, disrupts, or impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. 2. Persons in the audience will refrain from creating, provoking, or participating in any type of disturbance involving unwelcome physical contact. 3. Persons in the audience will refrain from using cell phones or pagers while the meeting is in session. 4. Persons wishing to address council, please raise your hand when the chair asks for citizen comments, and the chair will recognize you. And in this case, I'm the chair. Number 5, if you are able, please make your comments from the podium here at the front of the room, and if you're unable to do so, you may address council from your seat. However, please speak loudly. 6, provide your name and address at the beginning of your remarks for the formal public record. 7, attendees will be given a maximum of 10 minutes to speak. Abusive language will not be tolerated. And also to note, if you have already spoke on the issue once of the special policy area, you're not able to speak on the matter again just for time and reasons. Item 8, if an individual wishes to submit written information, he or she may give it to our clerk, Jennifer, give it away. And you may also submit the questionnaire that is located on the attendance table at the back to the clerk, and that can be submitted by October 25th. So failure to comply with this code of conduct, which will disturb, disrupt, or impede the orderly conduct of the meeting, will result in removal from this meeting. Another item to note is that all of our meetings for Adelaide Metcalfe are recorded, and the video camera is back there on the stairway there. And if you want to go back and review this meeting or any meeting of the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe Council meetings, you can do so on our website or on our YouTube channel. So I just also want to welcome everybody that's viewing from their home on YouTube later on. The sign-in sheet that you signed coming into the building, if you did put your email address, that will allow our staff to provide further information about the special policy areas. So when we get into the public meeting portion, I'm going to have Aaron and Abby go through the special policy areas, and we're going to be going through them one by one. And Aaron will be, and Abby will be reviewing those areas, and then after that, it will be time for any feedback from the gallery. So without further ado, I do need a motion from council to resolve that the public meeting to hear special policy area review background study be opened. And that's Councillor Clark and Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Okay, with that, I will hand the mic over to Aaron.
So thanks everyone for coming this evening. For timing's sake here, we are going to go through each of the special policy areas one by one and allow the public, again as Mayor Smith said, to have an opportunity to speak to each one. I do recognize that there is a lot of interest in one in particular, so we are going to hold that till the end so we can give everyone a fair opportunity and to come up and have their voices heard. So just a little bit of background. You might be following along with the study. Council and members of the community have raised questions in respect to the appropriateness of land use policies that are in place within the township's official plan. So in order to complete the review that council has indicated is desirable, Township Council passed an interim control bylaw to temporarily prohibit uses other than those existing on the or occurring on those lands identified as special policy areas under our official plan. So the Township Official Plan is a policy document that guides growth and development within the township and applies to all lands within the township. So this direction outlines policy direction for size and location of land uses, provision of municipal services and facilities, and the preparation of bylaws to control the development and the use of land. So again, the existing official plan does include these special policy areas. A lot of them are carried over from pre-amalgamation between Adelaide and Metcalfe townships. So the study is basically taking a look at each one, why has it been placed on the property, at what time during its history, what is it designating the property for, does the zoning comply, and is it appropriate to this day. A lot of them have, again, carried over from pre-amalgamation and may not be what is currently existing on the land today. Again, we have undertaken the first phase of the study. The background study was done. We are here to present the findings from this study to both council and the members of public to allow for input and consideration from both yourselves and so that council and staff can hear those comments which will be reflected in our recommendation report, which is the next phase of our study. So we have undertaken a brief history of these properties in question. As much as we can, we have with our township filing system at the office. So I do recognize that there may be history that I have missed in our review, which I would happily take into consideration if anyone would like to offer that. We also did a brief policy analysis of our planning policies and those documents that really guide our policy making. A jurisdictional scan, which takes a look at similar townships and municipalities in rural Ontario, what they do and how they deal with their special policy areas, and perhaps then determining some best practices and how we can then implement them in our own official plan. So what I'm going to do is start off with special policy area number 1. So this is 30265 Kerwood Road and 30260 Kaiser Road. At the very north part of the township of Kerwood Road and Townsend line. So I know this is going to be very difficult to read from a distance. The special policy area is really to do with just these two properties here. So we did a brief history. We have determined that both appear to be remnant properties from the realignment of County Road 6, being Kerwood Road. 30260 Kaiser Road once held the Canadian Order of Foresters Clubhouse and is now used for residential purposes. 30265 Kerwood Road was previously zoned RC-3, which is a special rural commercial zone, which restricted the use to a freestanding office building for a construction company only. But it's now, again, just used for residential purposes. So taking a look at previous planning applications on the site, there were a number of rezonings that occurred, again, predominantly on this corner property here. That is where the construction company office was held. So now it is just residential, but our official plan allows for a restaurant and a convenience store on this property. So again, it's one of those situations where our official plan says one thing and our zoning potentially says another. So the subject lands are within the general agricultural and the rural residential zone. Again, neither of those permit convenience store or the restaurant. So now, with that being said, I will open it up to the public if anyone would wish to speak to this. And how would you like me to do this? Would anyone like to come up and offer any input or ask any questions, concerns?
Is there not a cemetery on that property as well?
Thank you, sir. Through Mayor Smith. Sorry.
Let's start this meeting off right. Your name and address.
George Gurley, 1835 Military.
So in our township files, we did not determine that there is a cemetery there. There was at one time the church located on the corner there, but that we didn't find anything related to that. But certainly, if that's something that you think has been on the site, I will add that into our comments. Okay.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak to this special policy area? Seeing none, we'll go on to the next.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. So the next property is Special Agriculture Policy Area Number 2, located at 3343 Egremont Drive, or County Road 22, also known as the Countryside Motel. So this property had been designated agriculture until the creation of the combined Adelaide Metcalfe official plan in 2004, at which time the special policy area was placed on the property. So it does have the Countryside Motel as well as a few associated restaurants on the property, although currently there is not one there. The property has continued to be zoned rural commercial since the establishment of the original Adelaide zoning bylaw. Within our township files, we did not find any additional planning documents related to rezonings or minor variances or anything of that nature. The official plan designation is to allow for a restaurant and a motel. With respect to the zoning bylaw, the subject plans again are within the rural commercial. However, the rural commercial does not itself permit a motel. So that would be something that we would be looking at a potential change there.
Okay, is there any comments in regards to this special policy area? Okay. Seeing none. And just to know, we did have the earlier today from 3 till 6. So some of these special policy areas, some of the residents or property owners have already been in contact with Aaron and planning staff, so that could be the reason why there isn't any comments on some of these special policy areas.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. Moving on to Special Agricultural Policy Area Number 3, being 3536 Egremont Drive, located at the northeast corner of Highway 2281. The land is currently vacant. Previous uses of the site included a motel and a gas bar. The property was designated agriculture until the establishment of the 2004 Adelaide Metcalfe combined official plan, and has continued to be zoned rural commercial again since the establishment of the zoning bylaw. So the official plan permits a gas bar and motel. With respect to the zoning, the subject lands are again within the rural commercial zone, which allow for numerous different uses. However, motel and gas bar are not one of them. So again, there's a discrepancy there. So.
Okay, is there anyone in the gallery wishing to speak to this special policy area?
To be honest, I'm not entirely sure.
Like a meeting acre or no?
I couldn't speak to that. It does look fairly small. But.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak to this special policy area? Okay, seeing none.
So just to reiterate, we are going to be moving Special Agricultural Policy Area number 4 to the end to give everyone the opportunity to speak. So we will skip to number 5. So that's on page 8 for all those following along in your report. Sorry about that. So this is the property known municipally, it has several municipal addresses, 1745 Melwood Drive, 26232 Kerwood Road, etc. Probably best known as the Texas Longhorn Ranch property that does extend down quite a bit here, past the campground. Several uses exist at this location, including single detached dwellings, a campground, and the Texas Longhorn Ranch bed and breakfast. The ranch also allows for public trail rides around the property. The Sydenham River runs through the center of the property, dividing the main public uses from the environmentally sensitive lands to the east. The properties were designated agriculture in the Metcalfe official plans until amalgamation, and the special policy area was implemented. The properties were originally zoned a mishmash of things, being recreation parks, site-specific rural residential, etc. Planning applications in the file, there was a consent to sever, which separated this top portion, this top portion here from the campground and residential properties right along here. So the official plan allows a campground and a trailer park as defined in the zoning bylaw. However, it was again brought to my attention today that the zoning, which is several things, rural residential, site-specific rural residential, environmental protection, and parks and recreation, does not actually permit the campground, although it is designated to permit the campground itself. So then that would be something that we identify as well, but we'd be open to any more input and comments from the public for that.
Hey, is there anyone in the gallery wishing to speak to this special policy area? Okay, seeing none.
All right, and I am going to pass it off to my partner here, Abby, so you don't have to listen to me anymore.
All right, so I'm going to talk about Special Agricultural Policy Area number 6, which is located at 23979 Mayfair Road. The subject property is located on the south side of Mayfair Road in a former township of Metcalfe and contains a single detached dwelling and agricultural land. The property was designated to include a rural residential site within the 1993 Metcalfe official plan that has since carried on to the current official plan as a special policy area to allow for an individual building site for a single detached dwelling and an accessory home business. The property was originally zoned general agriculture. No previous planning approval documents for this property were found in the township files. So in respect to the current official plan policies, it allows for an individual building site for a single detached dwelling and an accessory home business as permitted in the zoning bylaw. And then according to the zoning bylaw, the subject lands are currently within the general agricultural and environmental protection zones.
Okay. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this special policy area? Oh, sorry.
Is there any intention to change that?
That is up for discussion.
Yeah, that'd be the minutes. Once we get the report back from
carry on with special agricultural policy area number 7. So this is located at 1697 Melwood Drive. The subject property is located on the south side of Melwood Drive, just west of Kerwood Road, and contains the former Metcalfe Township Municipal Office. Currently, the building is being used as a church. The property was originally designated agriculture, with a special policy area added to the property during the Adelaide Metcalfe official plan review in 2011. No additional planning approval documents were found in the township files with respect to this policy area. With regard to the current official plan, SPA number 7 allows for an administrative office building and a maintenance facility. And the zoning bylaw, according to the zoning bylaw, the subject lands are within the institutional zone.
Is there any comments on this special policy area?
Is there anyone here from the church to represent the church? Does anyone know when the services are there? Thank you.
Student services at Sunday morning,
What time?
between 9:30 and 10. So I'm full.
Every Sunday or only select times?
Every Sunday.
Okay, thanks, Fred.
Move on to the next special policy area.
All right, so I'm going to move along with special urban policy area number 2. So again, this is quite difficult to see, but this special policy area is all within this red line here on the board. So special urban policy area number 2 is located at 3279 Napperton Road, 120 Eastman Ave, and 123 Eastman Ave. The subject lands are comprised of 6 properties located along Napperton Drive and Eastman Ave. The lands have been subject to several consent applications to separate the properties into their current configurations. The properties contain several wholesale greenhouses and a residential dwelling. A portion of the special policy area is vacant along Napperton Drive. Official Plan Amendment number 8 was approved on August 13, 2013 to add the special policy area and allow for existing uses as of June 3, 2013. With respect to the current official plan policies, it allows for a commercial greenhouse use as the only permitted commercial use within the designation. And according to the zoning bylaw, the subject lands are within the institutional, site-specific general agricultural A-10, site-specific general agricultural A-11, urban residential, and site-specific urban residential UR-17 zones.
Okay. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this special policy area? Seeing none?
Thank you, Mayor Smith. We're now going to move forward with special urban policy area number 4. So the subject property is located on the east side of Center Road, County Road 81, and just north of Highway 402. The majority of the property is designated agriculture and is in agricultural production. However, the south end of the property, which is directly adjacent to the Highway 402 Center Road off-ramp, contains an additional special policy area number 4 that was added during the 2011 Adelaide Metcalfe official plan review and permits highway commercial uses including a motel, restaurant, and gas bar. No additional planning approval documents were found in the township files with respect to this location. So the official plan allows for highway commercial uses including motel, restaurant, and gas bar. These uses may be restricted in the zoning bylaw by use of a holding provision that sets out the requirements for development of the site. And then according to the zoning bylaw, the subject lands are within the corridor commercial zone with a holding symbol.
Okay. Is there anyone in the gallery wishing to speak to this special policy area? Seeing none?
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
get a little out of sync here, we're going to discuss Special Agricultural Policy Area B first, and then go right into A. So this property is located at 6536 Calvert Drive and 26786 Denning Road. A portion of the site of the property, excuse me, is designated Hamlet area. This corner right here, it is subject to a consent application that went forward this year that conditionally severed the lot into two parts. It's also been rezoned to allow for Hamlet residential. I know this red line is a little confusing. The red line should actually extend all the way down here. This entire property here is subject to the special policy area. A portion of the property is an agricultural production. It also contains Denning, Ivan and Sons trucking, as well as a residential dwelling. Through township records, staff have determined that a cattle stockyard was also located on this site along Calvert Drive, just right here, which is now used for storage purposes. The earliest Metcalfe zoning bylaw in the township files were approved in 1994 and indicate that the property was zoned site-specific farm industrial for the portion containing the trucking business, special agricultural for the residential home, and general agriculture for the balance of the property that is an agricultural production. So again, the planning applications, the property to the south, or that's located at the corner, was severed into two and rezoned to allow for Hamlet residential. No further residential will be permitted at that site. With respect to the official plan, this area has the Special Agricultural Policy Area number 4, Industrial Areas Special Policy. Industrial activities including manufacturing, wholesaling, warehousing, distributing, repair and servicing and storage of goods and materials are all permitted, including bulk sales establishments such as farm fuel agents and building supply outlets and accessory uses. Proposals for new development are all subject to our site plan approval process here within the township. And there's several pieces of criteria that I would need to satisfy as located in my background report. The subject lands are within the general agricultural zone, as well as site-specific farm industrial, site-specific rural industrial, and the A2 has been changed to limited agriculture, and the balance of the property again is in general agriculture.
Is there anyone wishing to speak to this special policy area?
Just one thing on that last component, they never know it's
So it's your name and address, and if you're able to come to the front to the microphone. Sorry, we got to follow the rules.
All I was speaking to wasn't clarified. The lot you mentioned that was subdivided into two, has been there for approximately 70 years. That was agricultural residential. So just wanted to know. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Dennis Denning. I'm the owner of part of this property, I guess, anyway. I'm not real familiar with politics. I'm not real familiar with ifs, ands, buts, whereas. I'm not sure, sitting at this meeting here tonight, I've seen there's been a lot of special policies go through here. There hasn't been anything mentioned either for or against or whatever on any of these policies until this one here. Now, I do not quite understand what you are proposing, or if you're proposing anything by this, the way it reads. It was zoned that before, and the proposing rezoning is changing, and I'm not sure how you're doing that, or what you're doing there.
The mayor's next to Dennis.
Yes.
We're not proposing any changes at this point. This is just a background study. We're just doing a brief history of the property, giving what the current official plan
I would like to see it just stay the way it is. There's nothing proposed that, when you read the letter, it says there hasn't been livestock there for X number of years. Well, to me, that is a benefit to the community, but I don't want to be put in a position to say where I can't unload your cattle. And I'm not sure when you're doing this here, what that's meaning. I mean, it's in storage now, yes, the place the grass is cleaned up, there's no cattle coming in and out, there's no cattle involved, there's trucks going in and out of there with cattle on, trucks going in and out of there every day, but not the same extent. So it's just some of the stuff where it was zoning bylaw where it was changed. We've not actually changed anything yet. We're not actually proposing changing it. That's all I need to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there any other comments on this special policy area? Seeing none.
So we're now moving on to the final special policy area, number 4A, being the property known municipally as 25700 Kerwood Road. So the subject property is a triangular piece of land bounded by Winter Drive, Calvert Drive, and Kerwood Road in the former township of Metcalfe. The property has historically been an agricultural production with no structures on site. The 1989 Metcalfe official plan designated the subject property industrial. In the 2004 Adelaide Metcalfe official plan, the industrial designation was removed and a special policy area was added allowing for industrial activities similar to the previous property, which included manufacturing, wholesaling, warehousing, distributing, repair, and servicing and storage of goods and materials, bulk sales establishments such as farm field agents and building supply outlets, and accessory uses. So the earliest Metcalfe zoning bylaw in township file was approved in 1994 and indicates that the property was zoned industrial withholding, or M1-H. So the subject property has had a planning application that was submitted in April of this year. We received an application for site plan approval and an application for zoning bylaw amendment, which requested to remove the holding provision from the site and to facilitate the construction of an outdoor storage area for pelletized biofertilizer. These applications have been placed on hold due to the establishment, again, of the interim control bylaw in April of this year for all the lands affected by the special policy areas. So the official plan allows for the industrial areas. Again, I listed the permitted uses earlier. As well, they will also have to meet the criteria for development that is outlined in my report. So subject lands are now within the industrial end zone with, again, the holding symbol. Permitted uses in this zone include accessory retail, accessory office, automotive repair, custom workshop, feed storage, grain handling and drying facilities, livestock marketing or sales yard, manufacturing, outdoor storage, printing or publishing, public storage unit, repair service, tradesperson or contractor's establishment, transportation terminal, warehouse, and wholesaling.
Thank you, Aaron. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this special policy area? And then please come to the front.
I'm one of the owners of the Texas Lawn Farm Ranch.
Excuse me,
Sorry?
could we speak up a little louder, because we can't
I
hear
don't really
you.
want to use this thing. I'm Gail Cahill, and I'm part owner of the Texas Lawn Farm Ranch that is not very far from this piece of property. We've been in business for 37 years. We run tourism. We have people from all over the world come down. And I mean like China, Germany, England, Scotland, Saudi Arabia, California, Rhode Island, Nova Scotia, BC, and Mexico. We have had a lot of people from a lot of places around the world come part of Canada, that they get kind of a little bit of everything in our community right here. We have I'd like to say a seniors campground, but those of us that are over 50 don't really feel like we're seniors yet, but it is a 50-plus campground, so it's couples. They come and get a little piece of the country away from their cities, their concrete, their busy technical lives. We don't have any internet service out in our area, so they get to really get away from it all too. We also have a bed and breakfast, so that's part of the tourism area that I talk about. And again, these people come from all over the world and have been coming from all over the world for many, many years. We bought Melwood Park, which was a conservation area. Fred and his brother started it in 1993. I came into the picture in 83, sorry. I came into the picture in 86, and Fred and I decided, once his brother decided to do something different, that we wanted to turn it into the Texas Longhorn Ranch. So Fred's mom and dad were kind enough to buy half of the piece of property. We bought half the piece of property, and we turned it into the Texas Longhorn Ranch, and we've done that now since 1992. Our three boys now have homes on the ranch. They want to continue, and they now have children who also want to continue. So whether it's this storage unit or whatever they'd like to do here, or whether it's any other kind of industrial piece of facility, I personally don't feel like that really works really well with what we're doing. It's only about a kilometer different, but between the two, there's going to be issues that I know that could probably be dealt with, but I know with trucks and smell, we already are dealing with that now a little bit more on Kerwood Road. We used to herd our horses and cattle up the road, which we can't do that anymore, and it's getting busier and busier. But we kind of promote our place as peace and quiet, get away from it all. We feed local, we use as much local meat, feed, vegetables and whatnot as we can, so that we get to kind of have a little piece of our whole community in our place. A lot of people don't know what we do. We do a lot. We employ up to 25 people over the years, 24 kids from the community. A lot of these people in Granite have worked for us, are still continuing to work for us, and we would like to continue on and have our kids continue on as well. And we just don't feel that an industrial site that close to us would be anything. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak to this special policy area?
I'm Lawrence Ryan, 8982, Broken Line, Halston.
Sorry, guys, but back here we can't hear either. So please speak up a little so we can all hear. Oh, whatever you want to do, but we didn't come here just to stay here and watch.
During council's
I
consideration,
like to hear what someone else.
Lawrence, would you hold on to the microphone and use that directly in front of your mouth? Sure. And then everybody following Lawrence could do the same thing.
during council's consideration of this application, I would request council to direct staff to retain a professional consultant to deal with off-site impacts, traceability, and the handling processes for each product, including where it comes from, how it was originally processed, and lastly, liability. These products come from a processing plant, and they have regulations governing how they process it and how it's to be applied and where it's to be applied. Some of these products go airborne and travel for several miles. So in addition to the fact that Metcalfe, or the property is in Metcalfe, if the wind's going the right way, it can blow over the brook. I dealt with some of this product and its impact approximately 6 years ago with respect to the same applicant. And one of the problems at the time was the MOE explained to me that because I have grazing ground and I sell our meats directly to the public, that there's a 5-year ban if this product ends up on my land. They did address it with the applicant, and the applicant was fair at the end of it, and we didn't have a problem with it blowing on our land as far as I know from that point on. However, a handling facility of hazardous material, and there could be no mistake, this is a hazardous material unless something has changed in the processing. And the biggest problem with the meat is the chemicals from people flushing drugs down their toilets end up in the sewage, and while they fire this product as hot as they can get it, they can't get rid of all of it. And I can't imagine for a moment that the applicant would not want to address how to deal with any possible off-site impact. The reason I'm asking council to direct staff to hire somebody, it should be at the applicant's expense if they really do want to go forward. I want to make sure that the report is fair. After the report is done, I would suggest that the applicant be given sufficient time to respond to it with another report if they need to be, and that the public should be given an opportunity to make comments on such a report. And there should be no consideration of any approval of any kind without this report, and the MOE should be involved as they have the primary authority to deal with off-site impacts from hazardous materials. Thank you.
How you doing, Gerald? My name is Fred Cahill. My wife and I own that Texas Longhorn Ranch. I'm located very close to the potential storage site. The town of Lincoln, near Beamsville, ran into a similar situation where they wanted to store biosolids in an area that was close to a populated area like we are. The council listened to what everybody had to say, and I will say this to us tonight, as much as we aren't jumping up here to come up to the microphone, people are a little reluctant to come up in front of the crowd, and we had quite a pretty good turnout this afternoon. And I want to say this, the council voted no. They listened to what the municipality, people in the community had to say. They voted no. My question to you folks, if it's a no vote, if you can say no to this, what is the process? The upside is, hopefully you guys will go away. The downside, I'd like to know what the downside is. That's my question to you.
And between the answer, we won't be answering that. It's more of information gathering.
Yeah, I'm just gathering information. If you guys can say no, the upside and the downside. What is the process?
The council will not be answering that question. Right.
Well, they can. Okay.
Pam McLean, 1626 Winter Drive. I just have another couple of questions for you folks. It says here in your background report that the applicants have
requested an amendment to remove the holding provision from the site. I wonder if you could explain exactly what a holding provision is for the rest of us here.
From Mary Smith to Ms. McLean, basically the holding symbol within our policy documents would outline several criteria that the landowners would need to satisfy before the holding symbol would be removed, which is through the rezoning process. So with this particular site, it's zoned M with the holding symbol, so they would need a rezoning to have that H symbol removed. Is that?
I was going to ask you, what are those criteria? Or can you find out that?
So through our just brief evaluation that we did here for the history, we could not find any criteria. So whenever this holding symbol was implemented, there was no criteria listed for to be removed prior to development. So it's the rezoning process that we're looking at now.
Question 2. A number of concerned citizens, about over 250, have submitted to you letters of their concern, and you had mentioned that this is the first step here tonight. Can those letters be part of your review, or do they have to be resubmitted for your next level, whatever you were discussing earlier about step 2?
They'll be part of it.
They will be considered part of it? Okay, thank you.
Jennifer Hadley, 156 Norwood Road. I'm having a hot flash from my living there. This is my color most of the day, so a lot of people are talking about concerns, all the other concerns there are, but nobody's mentioned the Sydenham floods. The Sydenham floods a lot in the spring and the fall. We're kind of kitty corner across the road from the Longhorn Ranch, and the river actually comes up through our field. I just wonder if any studies have been done on how much flooding around this site that will occur, because the river is only, I think, probably 200 to 300 meters from the edge of the site. So anything, any runoff would go straight into the river. We do have spiny softshell turtles, both in the river behind our house, and I've seen them across the road on Fred's property. We probably have some badgers in the forest, which both of those are species at risk. And I mean, yes, many of us I see here are older, but this is our kids that, you know, will have to deal with this too, because it's not what occurs now, but what will occur down the road. And I was also reading something on another site that did something like this, and they didn't find things show up in the water supply for many years, and by then it's too late to fix what was going wrong. So just something to think about.
Through Mayor Smith, George Ruddy, Military Drive. March 28th of this year, I was invited to my grandson's birthday party. We got to the house and I said, my God, what's that smell? And there was biosolids that had been spread on 200 acres across the road from where my son lives. I've noticed this on my desk when I look down the road. There's tanker trucks coming as many as 6 a day and dumping this stuff in a lagoon halfway back on the east half of Lot 11, concession 2, FCR Adelaide. This product smells, and apparently there's sweet water mixed with it. It is the most disgusting odor you've ever smelled in your life. Now, this gentleman that's getting this is a licensed manure spreader, and he supposedly has the authority to do this. I'm not sure he has the authorization to store this material and resell it. The trucks have been coming from God knows where. There's no name on the trucks, which is an indication to me that there could be a problem. Also, the gentleman that has used this product 15 years ago, him and his wife now are deceased, as well as his brother, and that was the funders that lived behind me. Whether this was part of the reason for their deaths at 50 years of age, I do not know. But I'll tell you, we have an issue and we have a problem. And I hope council and Adelaide Metcalfe can address this issue. And I'll tell you, if it's not done now, it's like asbestos. It was authorized by the government several years ago. And now you know what it is. And this product, I believe, is going to be the same. With DNA testing of everything now, your plant-based burgers might all go for a flop, because they'll be able to tell you exactly what's in them. And I'll tell you, it could shut our export of grains around the world down. Thank you.
Is there any other comments specific to the special policy area?
My name is Teresa Fishman, 3801 Egremont Drive. My maiden name is Van Grinsman, so I think my dad may have picked up many dead cows and pigs from many of the farmers here. So I'm no stranger to stinky stuff, and I just want to say, this isn't farming. We are a farming community. This isn't farming, and it doesn't belong in our community. I drink from a well. I've encouraged both of my kids to buy a home in this village. They drink from a well, and I'm scared. I'm scared to have them live here, and I'm scared to see what this council can do to our entire community. I really hope you pay attention to everything that's said here, because I'm scared.
Hi, I'm Jenny DeGroot, and we live on 2425 Catesville Drive. And a couple years ago, we had some of the, what they call it, biofertilizers stored across our road, right across our house. Only a couple months, the smell was so bad that one of my kids who has serious heart condition and lung issues couldn't go outside at times. It was really, really bad. We own this farm under here. And one of my boys, who's 22, lives there right now. And if this goes there, I don't want my grandbaby because of how hard it was on my son's health that summer. It was really, the doctors even recognized it with his lung conditions through the lung doctors. So it is, and it was disgusting. The smell was just horrific for us to be outside. So.
Roberta Rollick, 2534 Murphy Drive. Some years back, and I'm thinking it was 10 to 15, the Ministry of the Environment and the MOE did a study in our area of where the groundwater was coming from, and because of the dump that was located on Kellam Drive. What they did find out was that most of the underground water that feeds our wells was coming from a northerly direction, so north of our house, which would be flowing towards this way now, from the north towards. I'm afraid that if this
if this biohazard material goes in there, that it could affect our groundwater. It's underground, you can't see the directional flow of the water. I think there needs to be some studies to see where exactly that underground water flows and which direction it flows from if that facility was built there, because it could have a detrimental effect on every resident, either to the north or the south, or possibly east and west of that. There are ground studies continuing going on, and I would encourage the council to look into that and see if there is any current studies. Secondly, I know there's a lot of literature that says that this product is safe. However, if you are growing crops, we grew azuki beans. If we use that material on our crop, we were not allowed to sell it. So for like 5 years, our soil, we could not put that crop back in if we used that product. There's something to be said about it when already the agricultural industry looks at the ground soil and says, you put this crap on there, it stays there, and it's going into our edible products. Well, there's a lot more of us that are eating and drinking ground root vegetables and things like that. So I really think there has to be some real solid environmental studies. And if the environment says, oh, well, we think it's safe, I'd like to see it in writing. Because I'd like to see them stand behind what they're saying now and have recent studies, because we all know that some of that material is coming from hospitals, and the majority of the people who are severely ill in there, they've got copious amounts of antibiotics and other products that are ingested and come out the other end. And what comes out the other end ends up in that product. So I would like to have some sort of study that assures us that no superbugs live in there, and those heavy metals that we all hear about are not going to end up in our groundwater, and something that maybe we don't have to worry about, but our grandchildren and future generations have to worry about, just over a piece of little industrial land. It needs not only just the biosolids, but there needs to be a solid look at what the purpose of that land should be for, and in the future, how it can be regulated to meet the needs of the community, not an individual.
I'm John B. Groot from 2356 Murphy. I have a question. We call this the pie farm. Okay. They were spreading something on the pie farm here about 2 months ago. There was an inspector there to make sure it got worked in immediately after they spread it. I would like to ask Dave, what was in that chemical? I hear you're not supposed to spread anything else there for 5 years. Is that true, or is that all bull?
This is not the forum to be asking direct questions, so
I can't question it.
if you'd like to talk to an individual after the meeting.
I don't want to talk individual. He should be man enough to stand up that stuff cannot be spread anymore for 5 years.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak directly to the special policy area?
I'm Dana Bernier on the Mayfair Road. I'd like to say, we got an election coming up in a couple of days, and all you hear about is the environment, climate change, that kind of a thing. With all this talk and people that are concerned around the world about this, why are we doing this in our community, in our backyard? I just can't understand that at all.
My neighbor who lives between me and the subject site we're talking about. We moved to Metcalfe Township in '87, before it became Adelaide Metcalfe. I've lived in the same place for 32 years.
Your name and address.
Sorry, Eric Shaw, 5430 Calvert Drive, half a mile east of where we're talking about right now. And I'm glad to see that somebody brought up the subject of groundwater, because although although I haven't drilled well, one of the things that I've been very happy about for the last 32 years is we didn't have to really worry about anything getting into our water other than all that nasty smell that you're talking about that doesn't go that deep. But the real fear that I would have living where I do, I know many of my neighbors are here who actually do some of that spreading, but they're good about getting it turned into the ground and the smell goes away. But the big fear that I have for my family and for the rest of you guys is if they put that product on that ground and it gets into our groundwater, we don't have municipal water, nor are we asking for it. So what we want to do is we want to have a clean environment around our homes that we don't have to put up with that kind of a problem. Thank you, guys.
Don't all laugh. Are you all worried? I'm not. You will hear me. So, by the way, Betty Ann, you didn't win. Okay. Anyway, you've been arguing about this biosolids here for now for 2 or 3 years. I was been on council. I have nothing against the Burma family. I think they're a great bunch of people. They're doing what they think they're doing right. But in my opinion, I've been arguing about this for years now. When we talked to M&R, I went through this before. On my property, my fish died in my pond. They did. It's not an issue. And whether it's going commercial, whatever, I don't care. Till the government says it's a safe product to use on any property in this country. And we have an election coming. Why isn't this product at P&H, Cargill, and we'll mix in 200 pounds to every ton of fertilizer, and we'll spread it around the whole world? Why? Nobody can answer this question. Is it or isn't it? We argue about this getting in the groundwater. We argue about where we're going to pile it. It shouldn't have to be stored anywhere. It should be in every fertilizer plant, mixed in 100 pounds, 200 pounds to a ton, if it's not safe. Till somebody explains to me that it's safe, we cannot have it in Metcalfe, we cannot have it anywhere. Sorry to say, Dave, you're a good guy, but it's got to be safe. Thank you.
Brady, 26781 Brady Road. I'm just curious, is it allowed in any other townships? And is there reasons why they haven't put it there? Like, I come from a family where you grew up there, my kids are gonna live there. We want them to be there. We want our kids to be safe and to live here for a long time. That's what we worry about. But is it allowed? Is every other township allowing it there? Because if it was, it would already been stated in Watford, but it's not. So why are we getting it?
Today I read an article from the Detroit paper from July. In Warwick Township, they're going through the same type of thing, and the trucks bringing biosolids are coming from Detroit. And this waste, this biosolid stuff, is actually, the woman said, it's coming out on the road because it's backed up. There's so much of it sitting there, it wasn't spread on the land because it was a late spring for planting. Some of it was covered up with tarps, but some of it has been, her question was, where is it going when it's raining? It's spreading.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak to this special policy here?
Mary Ann Martin, 1915 Catesville Drive. I think we've had similar meetings like this before when the community has been opposed to things, but we've different horizons change because of different things. Some of us liked the turbine, some of us didn't. I stood up at that and opposed as well, and I'm not sure it's going to do any of us any good to stand up and oppose, but I have words to say, and I will say them. I know that my question is, I haven't studied any of this. This is my first meeting. But what is the true benefit for us as a township? What's it going to get us? I think we can all kind of say that. As well as we talk about the groundwater, we see the plastic bottles, and all of us in the country, in the community, are going back to drinking our well water. My mom and I have just recently done that to impact the plastic bottle reduction. But how do you know where it's running from? Sure, we have our normal agricultural fertilizers and manures, but do we know what this is? Do we have any idea what this is? I just don't see, like, why do we need it? We've done without it before. What is our true benefit to this going to be? A great big pile of, and I know Catesville, yes, I drove by that pile of sticks that was across from Big Roots as well, and I said, what the hell is that smell? It's not pleasant. Anybody who lives up near Watford is combating either the dump or the large pile that's supposed to get smaller but keeps getting bigger, I believe. And I'm sure we have a few in the community that are from the Watford area that can attest to that. My true question is, why do we need it? What's our benefit? And the groundwater, when we had our, the train flew off, whatever that's called. Derailment, thank you. In Kerwood, on Catesville, our little creek that was across the road from us was being tested. Obviously, to see if there was any run water or anything run off from the derailment in Kerwood that would be affecting our streams. So not a lot of people knew that was happening, but when you see people dipping into your stream, you kind of wonder what's going on and what's being impacted in the communities, that we would like to know what's going on. My true question is, why? Is there a benefit to this? I don't think so.
Hello folks, Dave Johnstone, 25338 Napier Road. I live right about there. Can you use the microphone? I live right about here someplace, and if you look where the pile was before, within 100 feet of that pile, there's a natural drain that goes right to the Morrow Drain, fast tracks to the Sydenham River. My well is about 80 feet or 100 feet from the Sydenham River, the Morrow Drain. Is there any compensation for the homeowners downstream from all this? Like, is there going to be enough tax dollars offsetting the benefit or the cost? It's a little crazy. I know what we had to do to go get our septic tank approvals, and this seems bizarre.
Is there anyone else wanting to speak to the special policy area, specifically to this one?
I'm Christy Cahill. I live at 26210 Kerwood Road. I had no plans on coming up here to talk tonight, but a lot of you were talking about the future, and I'm the future. I'm young. I'm 7 months pregnant. I want to raise my kids here. We built a house on the ranch, and I'm kind of second guessing it now. We have a beautiful property, but if that goes in down the road, I don't know if I want to live in a place that has that. My sister and my brother-in-law just purchased property. They have young kids. We told them about it, and now they're doubtful of moving into our community. And we don't want that. We want people to move in, but if we have this, nobody's going to want to live in our community. So.
Hazel Martin, 1735 Mackenzie Street. And about the smell that was put on the fields down here about 2 or 3 months ago. I was out walking one day, got to the curb of tracks, and there was 3 tractor trailers went over the tracks. The last one was leaking something, and I'm not an expert on manure, but boy, that sure looked like it smelled like raw human sewage. And 3 tractor trailers were headed south. Something else, we're trying to clean up the township and the community and everything else. Why would we want to take somebody else's damn trash?
Is there anyone else wishing to speak to this special policy area? Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Eric Davis. I am the lawyer for the owners of this property. As you may recall, I was here at the previous council meeting.
Where do you live?
And I do not, I live in Waterloo, Ontario. Just to let everyone know. So the main point of this meeting this evening, as I understand it, is to discuss the special policy areas. My client's position has already been outlined by the planning committee. No problem. I'm used to being heckled. There you go. So I believe our client's position has already been made clear by Planner Jay McGovern, who's with us tonight. Essentially, we are not looking for any changes in the planning regime in relation to this property. I've listened intently to the comments that have been made here this evening. I believe I've counted 19 of them. And by my estimation, the comments largely appear to pertain to our client's application, which, to my knowledge, has never been publicly circulated and is not before council. And that really what we're looking at is the planning regime and what the results of the special policy area review should be. Again, my client's submission is that notwithstanding the submissions tonight in relation to biosolids and that sort of thing, that none of that is actually, in my respectful view, up for discussion right now. It's really about the planning regime. Does this land make sense from a land use planning perspective? We would submit that it does, that an industrial use at this particular property makes sense. And so really what we're requesting the council do is maintain the designation, and we would then be able to proceed with any applications, and I would trust that everyone here would likely make submissions in relation to the application at that time. And that is their right, and we have no issue with that. At the same time, we would actually be able to circulate the actual submission and all necessary studies so that everyone would have a full view of what is actually being proposed or not proposed, and then we can go from there. But when it comes to the purpose of tonight's meeting, notwithstanding the comments here, in our respectful view, the planning regime for this particular property should remain the same. And I understand that we had a similar discussion at the last council meeting back in May. I don't believe there's been any more substantial information added to the planning report that we received this evening than we had back in May when the interim control bylaw was initially passed. I understand that based on the comments here and based on my review of the council agendas, that there have been a number of letters that have been submitted to council. But again, I would suggest they're largely in opposition to a planning application that, again, has never been publicly circulated and is not before council. And so, but in relation to the special policy area review, in my respectful submission, the planning regime for this particular property should remain the same. So, thank you very much.
I don't need a microphone. I am Mr. Lawyer here at Waterloo. We're talking about Hanhausen, 210 Lane Drive. Mr. Lawyer comes from Waterloo. We're talking about the water. That water goes into the Sydenham.
according to this, obviously, I'll kind of stick, oh yes, Andrew Campbell, 2387810 Road. So certainly to the comments, and I appreciate the comments from my, sorry, I forget your name. I appreciate those comments. So maybe one of the things that I would recommend to council was obviously we've got a lot of special policies in here that don't match what it's being used for. We've got office buildings that we want to turn to residential planning because they've been residential for so long. We've got motels that aren't zoned to be motels. So because it's been there, we're going to almost grandfather it in. I would recommend to council that because while this is zoned industrial, it has not had any industrial use for obviously the 3 decades that it's been that way, that council change that to an agriculture only designation.
Thank you, Aaron. Before we have our motion from council to close the public meeting and also adjourn the meeting, I just want to thank our planning staff, and I failed to introduce everybody that was sitting up here. So we have Dirk Vanderwerf, and he's the director, I believe is the director of planning for Middlesex County, as well as introduce Abby and Aaron. And then, just in case nobody hasn't met our CO treasurer, Kathy Case. I want to make sure that we knows who she is, as well as Jennifer Turk I mentioned as well. And I'm sure everybody has met most of our council, and if not, just again, we have our Deputy Mayor, Marion Hendricks, Councillor Sue Clark, Councillor Betty Ann McKinnon, and Councillor Mike Brody, and all their contact information. You can find that online if you ever need to contact them about anything that's going on in the township or want to voice your opinions on whatever matter it is. And I'd just like to, again, just thank staff for putting all the information together and presenting it for us this evening, and also gathering all the feedback. As you can see, they're writing down a lot of stuff between our administration and also the planning staff to be able to get all the information that you were saying and getting it to council by the end of November, beginning of December sometime. With that being said, that report will be on our website. All of our Adelaide Metcalfe Council meeting agendas are available online. It's very easy to find. Go to the website adelaidemetcalfe.on.ca. On the top tab, there's council. Hover on that, and it's agendas, minutes, and video recordings. And just click there, and you can see our council meeting agendas there. And look for that at the end of November, December to get that online. I'd also like to thank everyone in attendance for coming and providing your feedback on all the special policy areas. And if you haven't done so already, there is a sign-in sheet at the back of the room. As I stated at the beginning of the meeting, if any further information and updates regarding the special policy area review will be emailed out. So please provide your email address so we can be in contact with you and you can stay up to date on what's going on with the special policy area review. And I think I haven't missed anything. Nobody's grabbing my attention. So again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming and providing your feedback on the special areas of the township. And with that, I need a motion from council to resolve at the public meeting to hear special policy area review background study be closed and adjourned. Councillor McKinnon and Councillor Brody, all those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Okay, thank you so much for coming out.